Hi, my name is Jordan Wilson. Today I'm with Robin Koroluk, and we're going to talk a bit about careers in finance. Basically, what we'll look at today is just different type of career paths that one can take. Not specifically chartered financial analyst, but just the general options you might have available. We're going to look a bit at what you might want to be taking in high school and then on to university if you do wish to pursue a finance career. And when you get into some of the other sessions, you'll also see a lot of the softer skills and the complementary skills that will enhance having a finance career. But for now, we're going to focus a bit just on the specifics of finance. So I'll turn it over to Robin to start off.
Thanks, Jordan. So, careers in finance. What do you need to take to get to that point? So there's several different courses you can take to become an employee in finance. So one area is just no professional designation. So when I first got my job, I started at the bank, and there was some in-house courses that I needed to do. So that was just training out of university that just brought me up to speed with some of the policies specific to my company. Now, in addition to that, there was some other courses that were required based on our regulators. So our regulator is 𝐼ROC, which stands for the Investment Industry Regulatory Organization of Canada. And they're essentially an organization that ensures that we do things by the book, that we are doing things properly for the investors and for our clients. So these courses that you take essentially ensures that everyone that is employed there has the same basic understanding of this industry. So that course included the Canadian Securities course, the Conduct Practice Handbook course, and the Wealth Management Essentials course. So both of those, the Canadian Securities course and the Conduct Practice Handbook course is the first level of courses you would take to be able to essentially take instructions from a client. And the Wealth Management Essentials course would then allow you to give advice to a client. So there really is no rigorous course that you would go through to get to that point. It really is just a course you teach yourself and you just write the exam.
Now, you're a finance major from the University of Saskatchewan.
Right.
So a lot of the courses you've talked about, Wealth Management Essentials, Canadian Securities course. Now, obviously having a finance major probably helped pass those courses. If I don't go to university, or I come out with an arts or a sciences background, will I fail those courses? Can I pass them?
Great question, Jordan. Great question. So as Jordan just mentioned, you can have a career in finance without having a bachelor in commerce. You can have an arts degree. You don't need to have a degree at all. But when it comes to taking these courses, I think you can set your mind to anything and pass whatever you want. But it is going to be a bit more difficult for certain because there's going to be information that you may have never heard about prior to writing these courses if you don't have a background in finance.
Now, the thing is, you were working at Scotia.
Mm-hmm.
And you were basically an admin while you were starting this program.
Right.
So if I'm your boss, I want you to succeed.
Exactly.
So I bet you Scotia has built into their business hooking up with mentors or people that have done these courses themselves. So if you don't have that finance background initially yourself, you can still have in-house expertise to help guide you through the programs because they do want you to pass and grow.
Exactly. There's two factors there. So one, through the actual institute where these courses are offered, there's guides that you can get to allow you to just succeed a little bit more, just more practice exams, that sort of thing. But the other factors Jordan just mentioned, I recall when I wrote those exams now almost 10 years ago, aging myself, we had multiple people in the office writing the exam at the same time. There was, to be honest, about 8 or so. So you were able to have a study group and be able to bounce ideas off of one another. But yeah, you're exactly right with that, Jordan.
And the bulk of the courses that you would take, there are some in-house courses that Scotia or TD or Bank of Montreal, etc., would offer their employees.
That's right.
But a large part come through, as it's on the slide, the Canadian Securities Institute.
That's right.
Offers so many certification programs and individual courses, right?
That's right. And there is a lot of training that you do get on the job. You know, I take a lot away from university that I took to the job, but that was probably only 10% of really what I learned for the years to come. And even still to this day, I'm learning every day.
And it's funny that you say that, because down the road, when we get into the evolving skill sets of finance professionals, a huge motivator for today's finance professional is learning new skills, having new experiences, having roles that are challenging. And so again, if I'm a company and that's what my employees prefer, and they actually prefer that over compensation, then I want to create an environment that's going to help you succeed and learn.
Exactly.
So even if you don't have that finance background from a university, you can still excel.
That's right. So we've kind of covered the part where you don't really get any professional designation. I think we've painted a picture of what that might look like for someone entering the finance industry. Jordan, can you talk to us a little bit about the certified or registered financial planner designation?
Thank you, Robin. And that is one of my designations,
That's right.
So I probably can comment a bit on it. So you can go the financial planner route. And for some, there's currently out there in Canada, there's the certified financial planner, registered financial planner, and personal financial planners. So way too many designations, but you can go either of those or all three of those routes. Some of them you may require university backgrounds. The CFP you did not, but going forward you do. But those people actually, some work with Robin at Scotia. And they're basically less about the advising on investment side, more about budgeting, creating planning for your retirement, which is in part investing, a bit insurance, these sort of things. But again, it's more the holistic view where I'm creating a plan for your life. So for example, with you listening in a classroom today, maybe your parents set up registered education savings plans in the anticipation that you go to university or post-secondary. So that might be something they sit down with a financial planner when you're born and say, hey, let's set up an RESP so my son or daughter, when they're 18 or 19 and they're going post-secondary, it's financed. So that's the planning aspect. And I think that's probably the keys. And again, you'll see them working for mutual fund companies, maybe selling mutual funds or helping people invest in mutual funds. Maybe they'll be specialists in insurance. And again, that's what you tend to find is people will specialize. If I work for an insurance company, then I probably have my financial planning designation and also an insurance license. And Robin would actually have her insurance license at Scotia. Mm-hmm. I don't, because I don't sell insurance products.
Absolutely. So next up, Jordan, is the CPA designation, which you, of course, have as well. So I think it would be important to discuss what that pathway might look like.
Thank you, Robin. So this is also a bit of confusing designation because the chartered professional accountants merged a few years ago. Before that, you had accountants specializing in financial accounting. They were chartered accountants. They would go out and audit a business, maybe do the tax. So that was more on the financial accounting side, the chartered accountant. Then there were the managerial accountants, and they were more a lot of the cost accounting side for a business, the nuts and bolts of operating the actual accounting in a company. And that might be inventory, those sort of things, building up costs for, I want to sell this product, so I need to know what the cost base is, what's the fixed cost, what's the variable cost. So again, getting into the inventory, into the details. And then there were the general accountants, which was more, the bookkeeping, the actual preparation of financial statements and financial data in a company. And they were CGAs. Today, they're all grouped together, but you can still go different routes depending on your preference. And in my case, I came out of an audit background, and I've got a tax background as well. And both of those were great to go into finance because that's key to financial analysis and investing. And if I turn it over to Robin, when she went through the CFA program, there probably was a lot of accounting and financial analysis, at least in levels 1 and 2.
You're right, Jordan. That's one thing that if I had to do things a little differently, I likely would have gotten the CPA designation prior to doing the CFA, and not that it was a necessity to have it, but based on the financial environment that I'm in today, it is assumed that you do have a good understanding of tax knowledge, how that helps your clients, and when it comes to getting the Chartered Financial Analyst designation, a large component of the material of those exams is financial analysis and understanding those statements and understanding how everything works together. So I do agree with that.
And that's the primary reason that I went the chartered accounting route in the first place when I came out of college, was the fact there weren't a lot of finance jobs. I didn't want to go up to L'Orange equivalent in Alberta and be an assistant bank manager for a few years. But I saw all my friends getting wined and dined by the accounting firms. And I realized that if I wanted to get into the investment or finance side, I needed that strong tax and financial accounting base. And I'm even mentoring a University of Saskatchewan business student right now who was going into finance and pursuing the CFA. And for the good or for the bad is, after talking to me a few times, he's now actually going to work for Ernst & Young and become a financial accountant, and then after getting a few years experience, pursuing the financial analyst side. So he saw the benefits of going that route. So even if you like finance, accounting is a great segue into that.
And then next up on the slide is the Chartered Financial Analyst designation, but we will be covering this a bit more in detail in the next speaker series, Careers for All.
Indeed.
Careers in finance, my apologies.
That's okay. So if we sort of look at the slide 4, from high school to a finance career. Now, one of the overriding themes that you'll find in all our sessions seems to be that you don't need a pure finance background to have a career in finance. In fact, what you'll find is that very diverse skill sets often have the best finance careers because it's easy to teach you finance skills. It's not so easy to teach you some of the other skills that you're already bringing in from your first education. So in high school, yes, many CFAs or finance majors, so they go into business school. So you're looking at prerequisites in high school to get into those faculties. But there's so many other paths: economics, sciences. We have one of our board members is a professional engineer, another a PhD in applied mathematics, another a master's degree in cybersecurity. We've got 2 economists. We've got 3 professional accountants. We even had our past president had a Master of Fine Arts. So again, that's our board of directors for CFAs. None of them had a finance major. So you don't need a finance major. So feel free to pursue other areas. And again, when we get into the growth industries and the evolving skill sets, we'll see things like the environment, social issues, governance, how do we run a company, financial technology. These are the huge drivers going forward over the next 10, 20 years in the finance industry. So we need people with those skill sets. And I think we talked about the post-secondary, some you need, but more and more, you probably will need some kind of a post-secondary to get into them. So if we continue on to university, what would you think about university, Robin? Just maybe to add on to some of the comments that I made on, not pursuing a pure finance background.
Yeah, I do agree that you don't need to just go into finance and go into that particular finance career, although that's a path I took. Probably, I don't know the exact statistic, but there's a lot of people that don't go that route but still end up in finance. So through university, the traditional route would be a finance major or an accounting major or potentially an economics major, but you also could have a focus on English. So writing and communication skills, that's super important when you do get into positions such as more a leadership role. Communication's key to communicating with your team, to communicating with your clients, to communicating with your really anyone that you interact with. And having that specialty. So we'll touch on this a little bit later in our speaker series, but there's some specialty items such as the environment, high tech, and crypto. That would be a specific area that you could increase your skill set to become more knowledgeable with your finance career, which then brings us on to the soft skills. So soft skills is something that you should be focusing on when it comes to building your skill set. There's the technical skills that you're going to learn, but there's also going to be your soft skills, which come down to the communication, the problem solving, networking, and foreign languages. So through communication, there's some various programming that you can go through, such as Toastmasters and Dale Carnegie, that will provide you with some information that you'll take away and be able to implement through your entire life. Problem solving such as chess. Jordan's a big chess player. Networking elevator pitches. You should be able to speak to someone in a very short period of time of what you do and how you can add value. So to really practice that. And the foreign languages, I just would like Jordan to comment a bit on that before we wrap up here about why that is important.
Thanks, Robin. And I think just before I get into the foreign languages, I just want to add a couple of points to what Robin was saying. And again, what you'll find in these speaker series and all the different modules is you'll find patterns and themes in what we say. And they're all unintentional, but you just sort of see that trajectory. And this is one area, soft skills. And I'm a firm believer that when I or Robin came out of college and entered finance or accounting in my case, you had to be very, very strong technically. Maybe I needed to calculate modified durations or asset correlation coefficients. But with each passing year, it's the soft skills that become important. And that's what's key, is your ability to communicate with clients, with your bosses, if I can't write a report or stand up in front of the executive board at a bank and make a presentation, then we don't do the deal and I don't get promoted. So that is more important than the actual skills. And that's what Robin was talking about, things like Toastmasters, Dale Carnegie. And another theme that you'll see is employers want problem solvers. They want people that will bring solutions, not just scream and shout that there's a problem going on. It's scream and shout there's a problem, but boss, here's an idea for how I think we can fix it. So again, those are the sort of skills that you want to demonstrate to potential employers, and you want to develop them. And it can be a variety of things. Chess would be one. That is not my area of expertise. But again, like, just think outside the box a bit. I come from a martial arts background. And so again, I've used this example before, I think, where if I'm rolling around on the ground with somebody in jiu-jitsu and they are equally talented as I am, then we have the same toolbox. So it becomes a chess game in that sense, where we both have the same skill sets. Who will prevail? And that's analyzing problems. What's this individual trying to do to me? How do I turn it around on them and win? And so again, look at your own lives. What areas, even outside the box, do you have those problem-solving skills? And it's not necessarily chess. It can be a variety of things. And the other one that we mention here is the elevator pitch. And I'll literally give you the 30-second version of that, because that's what it is. It's, you get a chance to meet me, or you get a chance to meet Elon Musk or Warren Buffett or somebody, Connor McDavid. You're in an elevator, you got 30 seconds to, what are you all about, kid? Why would I want to hire you? Why would I want to network with you? Why would I want to mentor you? So, you want sort of a 30-second pitch to say, here's who I am, and here's why it's worth investing a little of your time to have a coffee with me or to chat with me over the telephone and give you some advice. So that's your elevator pitch. And the final one was the foreign languages. The world is shrinking. You don't necessarily need to speak a foreign language. English will often get you by regardless of where you are in the world. I survived 6 years in Switzerland with very rudimentary German. But it's understanding more about the culture that people have. And if you're dealing with a South American or you're dealing with someone from Thailand, they probably do things a little bit differently, business-wise and personality-wise, than you're used to in North America. So by understanding a bit about their language and a bit about their culture, it makes it easier to deal with each other. And they appreciate it, even if you can only speak a few sentences in their languages. It shows you're reaching out. So those are sort of some of the soft skills that we want to focus on. And again, we'll touch again on these in many other of our segments that we're covering. So I'll turn it over to Robin for the conclusion.
Absolutely. So hope you all took a little bit away from our session today. Ultimately, we just wanted to teach you what steps would be involved to become a finance career person. And we recommend reaching out to someone you know in the finance industry. If you don't know anyone, reach out to us. We'd be happy to provide you with any type of feedback or any type of recommendations. But we would also like to thank our sponsors today, our corporate sponsors. We wouldn't be able to provide you with information like this and resources like this without their support. So thank you very much.